talk about bakery ingredients and their role in different bakery products. Just a minute, I to share something. Right. So basically, the common ingredients when we talk about any bakery product, then the first thing which comes in our mind is the flour. Uh, well, nowadays, as all of you are aware, that because of this startup drive and because of many government schemes, uh, the the bakery products are also changing with respect to its flour. Nowadays, people are adding millets. People are experimenting it with many other ingredients, and they used to replace this flour. Either they replace maida with the atta, or they replace this with the millet
Excuse me,
flour.
sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, will you please shut down the another customize your stage view kind of pop-up window?
Pop-up window. Just a minute.
It's overlapping your slide.
Hmm.
Now it's okay, sir.
Now is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Right. So if we talk about the innovation for which our startup uh, moves or a drive given by the government of India in which the startup looks for the innovation, then basically in the bakery, particularly sector, they replaces for flour or adding any bioactive component in the total list of ingredient. FSSAI has also mentioned the list of ingredient which is approved for the bakery industry. Apart from this, if I am adding any new ingredient or using any new process through which I am making the product, then for that, if it falls under the uh, not in the proprietary food, if it falls under the novel food category, in such cases we require product approval also, right? So all the ingredients which are traditional, like flour, uh, is an important component. We have leavening agent whenever we talk about the bakery products. We have fat because it is the only thing which will make the bakery product tender. About the sweeteners, about the egg, or nowadays people are adding many milk products in this, like sweetened condensed milk or condensed milk, or there are many extract flavors, spices, herbs are there in the market. So the most important component among all, which makes the bulk of any bakery item, is the flour. Flour is made up of the protein and starches. These are the major component of the flour. Other than this, many different kind of flours are available in the market. Someone say it's maida, someone says it's atta, it's whole wheat atta, chakki atta. Uh, many names are there, and accordingly, uh, we have also classified it into the patent flour, white flour, extra soft flour, red heart wheat flour, like this. So before starting uh, the common ingredients used in the bakery industry, I just wanted to throw a light that when we start the operation, the first thing is to receive the ingredient. So in case of flour, when for either it is a bread industry or a bakery industry, the first operation is that the quality person goes to the truck or the vehicle in which the flour bags are there and see the oh, see the condition of the vehicle. In this case, the flour may be in the gunny bags, but nowadays mostly it is available in the sack, in the plastic sack. So he used to also draw sample from the truck itself, from the vehicle itself, and will check the quality parameter. Basically, the most important one is the moisture content, because it is a kind of overrun to the industry. So they need flour of less moisture content. The FSSAI standards for flour is 14%. That at max you can have 14% moisture content in the wheat flour. If, either it is maida or atta or any other of its component. Uh, then he can check its sedimentation value, gluten content, acid insoluble ash, all such parameter he can check, or he or she can rely on the certificate of analysis which is provided by the vendor. Accordingly, he will decide that whether it is to be accepted or not, and then their general administrative procedure happens where they used to check its total weight, uh, uh, about the gunny bags, etc., etc., and then they have an unloading procedure also. Sometimes it is fully automatic, sometimes it's manual, where the labor uh, has to take every bag and then they have to put it on the pallets if it is not automatic. Otherwise, there is a provision through which you can store it in the silo also. So this is the basic practice which is used in the flour, that in the gunny bags, because we are dealing in a scheme which is Pradhan Mantri formalization of micro enterprises, and hence for the micro enterprises we cannot think of the large systems. So so uh, in in all micro enterprises, the maida is to be kept on the pallets, and sometimes even pallets are not used. Instead of this, a plastic polythene is also used, where they can keep their gunny bags, or where they can keep the plastic bags. So here the point important is that they have to keep it on the pallets. This is falls under the good manufacturing practices. The other unit operation which is followed for the flour is that it is to be sieved every time before it is in use. So for this, the standard practice is that they have the sifter through which they sieve the flour. Uh, the chances of foreign body contamination is much higher in the maida or in the atta or in any kind of flour. So a standard kind of sifter is used, which sieves the flour. Uh, Here the important thing is that while sieving the flour, the sieve size is important. If I am making bread, then I should use a sieve size of 34. If I am making a kind of thing like cake or say biscuits, where I can use a higher version of this also, where the mesh size will decrease to 24, or in fact even 17, like this. Right. So this is the basic operation for handling the flour. For handling the liquid, usually for the micro enterprises, the water is to be stored in the tanks. For the milk, it is it can be either in the milk powder form or as such in the liquid form. Then they can use leavening agent, which causes the product to rise. It can be air also, it can be steam, it can be baking powder, it can be biological agent like yeast, it can be a baking soda also. So different type of leavening agents are available in the market, as they are required in the less quantity, and hence these can be kept even on the table or on the racks, or 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 anywhere. Particularly in case of yeast, you require condition, if it is a compressed yeast and not dried yeast, you require a deep freezer for this, where you can keep it at somewhat 5 to 8 degrees. For this fats again, fats for the micro enterprises are nowadays available in the tins also, plus in the cartons also, because mostly the margarines are solid in nature, and hence they can be packed in a carton using polyethylene. Uh, it will give richness and flavors. Many other functions are there. So I'm not going to discuss this right now. I'm talking about how how the ingredients are to be unloaded. Uh, so in case of fat, you can again use the pallet for sieving the fat. If you are using as such in your mix, then in that case the sieving is not possible. But the standard practice says that you have to sieve every ingredient. If you rely on a brand, or if you rely on the certificate of analysis which says that it is good, then you can also directly, if it is free from the foreign body contamination, then in case of micro enterprises, they can use it directly as such without sieving. In case of uh, sweeteners, it provides sweetness and flavor. The most important sweetener which is used as a bulk sweetener, or which is used as a common sweetener in the industry, is sugar. So in case of sugar again, it is a product which is to be handled like flour, where also you have to check the quality and then unload it. It is also available in the plastic bags as well as in the gunny bags, in the packing of 25 kg, 50 kg or 100 kg. So accordingly, you have to unload it and keep it on the pallet. For this uh, sieving of sugar, you have two options. You can dissolve it in the water and then can sieve it, or either you can directly sieve it and choose the optimum sieve mesh size for this, for sieving the same. The problem with this uh, particular ingredient sugar is that it is having iron particles most of the time. So you have to be very cautious about this. For removing this, either you have a provision of the magnet through which you can pass it, or you can dissolve it in the water and can sieve it through somewhat 85 mesh size or 80 mesh size like this. Uh, for the egg is an important ingredient in the bakery industry. Uh, for egg, it is for the particularly for the micro enterprises. The operations are like that: the uh, clean egg is procured, and the clean egg is again used uh, whenever it is required, as such in the fresh form. Uh, for the flavoring, again, extract flavors, spices, herbs, and nuts are there that are required in the small quantity, and hence these can be kept as such on the rack, on the table, for a micro enterprises. So we are starting with the ingredient flour. That what is its role? The basic definition about the flour are is flour is a powdery substance produced by the finely grinding grains through a process called the milling. Milling milling is the operation through which you reduce the size of the particle. So wheat flour is by far the most common, although flours like the rye flour are used in the baking, but it is I can say that wheat flour is the heart of any bakery product. The classification of flour is based on the amount of the protein that each type contains. Protein determines the gluten strength of the flour. Gluten gives the dough its shape and the form. For this, I want to add here that many different kind of wheat is available in the market: soft wheat, hard wheat, uh, red wheat, etc. So according to the gluten content, it is to be used as a bakery ingredient in different forms. Like in case of cake, you require less gluten content. In case of bread, you require higher gluten content. As the gluten content increases, the hardness of the grain also increases. Apart from this, uh, as the gluten content increases, the price of the commodity, the price of the wheat also increases. uh, all flours generally, including wheat flour, are composed largely from the starch and protein. But wheat flour has a distinctive in that it has very high level of class of protein known as collectively gluten. I use the word collectively because it is made up from the gliadin and glutenin, two kind of protein which is naturally present in the wheat. The range is quite high, 8 to 14%. So 14% nowadays is very difficult to achieve, right? Uh, the soft wheat is easily available in the market, and it is having 8 to 10% of the gluten content. But for the bread industry, they look for a higher gluten content. Few varieties are there which are grown in Madhya Pradesh, is in particularly uh, some some place of exclusively Rajasthan, especially Kota, and in some places of Punjab where they used to have a high gluten content varieties available. When a dough is made from the wheat flour and water, the gluten develops into a thick, cohesive, elastic mass. This is the beauty where it can entrap the ingredient, and especially it can entrap the air, and it gets leavened. When it is placed in an oven, it puffs up to many times its original volume and sets with a light, airy texture. That's why the volume is high, but the total, I should say, the weight is less. And this is the beauty of any bakery product. This characteristic enables the gluten to provide the structure in baking goods, which is like cakes and breads. Uh, Especially in the bread, we look for the volume. In the market, several breads are available according to their volume is to weight ratio. Uh, if I say a bread which is of good quality and which says that it is a sandwich bread, so it is having a good gluten content, and the weight is to volume ratio, if I say, is less with respect to the other varieties which are normal bread. Why the weight is to volume ratio for this is high means it is thicker. It should hold the material because it is meant for the sandwich purpose, and for that it requires particularly strength because it has to be put by this butter, then chutneys, then many other stuffs are there, and then it is to be grilled. So for keeping that in mind, the particularly sandwich bread is made with a higher strength of gluten, and the weight is to volume ratio for this is also less. Factors which affect the quality of the flour: the wheat flour and the conditions under which the wheat has grown. This affects the quality and the quantity of the gluten in the grain. For getting the for getting the good gluten content, it is obvious that the wheat is to have a higher relative humidity and a very cold condition in which these variety can be grown easily. The milling process, this particularly determines the degree of the separation of the bran and endosperm. As as the bran is removed or as the endosperm is removed, the starch particles are more clear. It is white, it is the particle size reduction, which also is important in this. And accordingly, the flours are classified in the next few slides. The additives and special treatment is also given to the flour. It is to be decided by the miller, and the miller has to decide that for what purpose this flour is to be used, and accordingly he will carry the operations of the oxidation and bleaching. So this is the wheat class and its principal usage given here, that hard red winter wheat is there, which is grown in winter. Soft red winter wheat is there. Hard red spring wheat is also available in the market. Hard wheat, soft wheat, and durum wheat. This is the classification, and accordingly its principal usage is given in the table. The general characteristic is like the hard red wheat is preferred for the bread because it is having the high protein content, and the quality of the protein is also good. Means when I say high protein, then the gluten content is also more, and the quality of the gluten is also good. Or I should say the ratio of the gliadin is to glutenin is also good. It will absorb high water, and hence if I talk about a particular term which is called as overrun, which is also good in the bakery products if I am using hard red winter wheat, because it will absorb more water. The FSSAI standards for bread is particularly the moisture content should not be more than 38%. But if I am giving 36% moisture content, then I am unnecessarily giving the weight in terms of the mix dry ingredient instead of giving water to the consumer, and hence this water plays an important role in the overrun. So this hard red winter wheat is preferred for making bread and related products. For the soft red winter wheats, which is low in protein, which is having a gluten weak, it absorbs less water, is preferred in the cake, cookies, pastry, pie, crackers, biscuits. Especially in the cake, sometimes we skip water also, right? Because in cake there is no concept of the gluten formation. So in fact, we sometimes even skip the water, and instead of water, we can add sweetened condensed milk or egg, and through which we will make the batter out. The beauty of this hard spring wheat is it is also high in protein, in fact very high in protein. It is having a strong gluten as well as good quality gluten. Its water absorption property is also high. The hard white, which is commonly grown across India and which is used for the bread and a related product, is high in protein. It is also having strong gluten, high water absorption power. Its bran lacks the pigment, and hence it is called as hard white. Soft white variety and the durum wheat is also available. Durum wheat is exclusively used for the pasta making. Common type of wheat and its flour. In this classification, uh, the the flour which is recommended is that through hard red spring wheat you can make clear flour, high gluten flour, whole wheat flour, and accordingly its protein range and its application is mentioned in different columns. So you just have a look of this and you will have a fair idea. The next is when I when I talk especially in terms ki it is having um, gliadin and gluten in two kind of protein. So while mixing it, uh, the gliadin and the gliadin protein and the this glutenin protein both have the sulfahydryl group, and they will form the SS bond, and that after formation of that SS form, the entire this combination of the gliadin and glutenin is called as gluten. Here you can see the spaces where the air can be entrapped, and through this only the leaving will happen. This space is for the air, this space is for the water, this space is for the other ingredients. So basically, this is a kind of matrix which is formed by the gluten, in which the other bakery ingredients are embedded, and hence and it is tender also. And apart from this, other than tender, the matrix is so strong that it will not be deformed also. So here the concept of particularly that if it is if it is reduced, then again this gluten can be converted into the gliadin and glutenin. So for fast making of the gluten, or for fast development of the gluten, I need some oxidizing agent which can oxidize and will, and the strong SS, quick and strong SS bonds can be formed, disulfide bonds can be formed. If you have any query, you may please ask. This is the thing which I think all of you are aware, because you are from the teaching and also have fair idea about the bakery industry, where gluten plays an important role. Gliadin and glutenin, two proteins are there. They form disulfide bond. This is very common thing. Is it any query? You may please ask. Otherwise, we can move ahead. Yeah, yeah.
No query. So one query.
Yeah, just a minute. Abhijit has raised a question.
Yes,
That
yes,
that
yes.
that it is commonly called that if we are not adding water, uh, the gluten is not formed, right? So basically, when I say the formation of the gluten, especially in case of bread, because in cake the gluten formation is not required. If I take example of the bread where I am making dough, the point is, for the formation of the gluten, other than the presence of the gliadin and glutenin, the water is also important. In presence of water, in presence of mechanical action, in presence of salt or any electrolyte, this gluten formation will take place. So water as well as oxidizing agent, if it is available, and salt is required for for these formation of these disulfide bond. Apart from this, when we discuss the water, at that time you will have a fair idea कि ये gluten formation as exactly कैसे होता है. Yes, yes, ma'am. Uh, Someone is asking something about. Please. This is a figure which shows that the protein network which is formed after water is added to the flour with no mixing. Starch granules have been removed by washing. The starch granules normally fill these holes, which is seen in the figure 1. In the figure 2 shows how the protein stands in being stretched and bound together after a few seconds of the kneading. Starch granules have been removed by washing in this figure 2 also. So this is a picture which is at 50 microns. So this is basically a SAM image of gluten network of gliadin and gluten. This figure 3 shows the under kneading of the dough with the stretch aggregate strands of the protein. Starch granules have been washed away in the figure 3 also at the surface, but remain trapped within the protein matrix inside. And the figure shows the protein network which is resulting from the optimal kneading of the dough. Starch granules have been washed away at the surface. Now we talk about the different types of flour which is available in the market. The bread flour has the highest amount of protein, thus has high gluten content. So it is used for the bread. The bread flour is creamy in color and is rough and granular also, because of the high gluten content. Another kind of flour which is available in the market is called as soft flour, sorry, cake flour. Uh, it is milled with the soft wheat because in case of cake, the gluten is not required. It is described as weak because the product is made from it are tender with the delicate texture, which is the basic requirement of a cake. Third flour which is available is called as all-purpose flour, is made from the combination of the bread and the cake flour sources and has medium gluten strength. It is suitable for almost any baking purpose. Another flour which is a kind of premix of the flour where you can use it directly is called as self-rising flour, which contains the baking powder and the salt so that all basic ingredients are there. Other than this, you can add fat in this, you can add sugar and can make a homemade recipe of any bakery product from this. Rye flour is available. It is distinctive because of its flavor. It has no gluten, but it is used in the preparation of the bread, in the preparation of the other bakery items. Care and storage of the flour. There are few things which need to be taken care, especially by the micro enterprises. The first thing is the flour should be stored in a high ventilated room which is free from the insect and rodents. This is this is also part of the good manufacturing practices, which is mentioned in the Schedule 4 of FSSAI. FSSAI has given a regulation called as licensing and registration, under which they have a provision of Schedule 4 where they talk about the good manufacturing practices and not manufacturing, especially the good hygiene practices that is to be followed by a food industry. They have classified it into various forms. For the milk and milk products, they have different segment. For the meat food products, they have different segment. For the general industry, they have different segment, and for the petty food business operator also they have a segment. But in which they have mentioned that the raw material is to be kept somewhat at a distance of some distance from the wall, and it should be at some height from the floor. So in general, the pallets are used. Flour should be kept away from the products with strong aroma such as the spices and onion. The third thing is it use the oldest flour first. So first in, first out. So generally, uh, in general also for all the ingredients, one has to use FIFO, first in, first out. But especially in case of flour, there is a process called as aging where where it where it oxidizes. So if it is a old flour, then it will give a better, I should say, gluten formation, early gluten formation, strong gluten formation. The flour should be kept in a dry tin or a glass container in a cool, dry place. This is also self-explanatory in the sense this is a part of the good manufacturing practices that it is to be kept in a dry and cool place. The next important ingredient is shortening. Uh, the fat is the word which is used uh, for the for for this shortening. It is the taste of the baked product which depends mainly on the flavor of this shortening. Generally, the neutral oils are used. Uh, uh, the oils like especially mustard oil is not used in the bakery industry because it gives its specific flavor and taste in the product. So for making margarine, for making shortenings, for making as such usage of the oil, either the palm oil or the palmolene oil or deodorized soybean oil is used for making these products. If we see the interaction of the availability of gluten, and the presence of the water, kneading, and availability of the fat, then then in the presence of the fat only, it will cover the entire matrix inside, and where it can hold water, where it can hold this air, and it acts like a layer where it will not allow water to move out from the gluten matrix, and basically it is it protects it from drying also. So so the basic function of this ingredient is that it surrounds the gluten in the dough, it shortens the strands and make it a more tender product. It makes the product lighter with greater volume. It oils the structure of the product, so it is easier to chew and swallow. When we use the term tender, it is not hard. It is tender means it is when the bite is soft, when you can eat it easily, is called as a tender product. So as the this content increases, fat content increases, the product tends to be more tender and tasty also. For the creaming purpose also, fat can entrap the air during the beating and the mixing, producing a batter that consists of a masses of the tiny air bubble trapped within the droplets of the fat. When biological leavening agents like yeast is not used, for example in cake, in this, the beating, through beating only we trap the air inside. And once it is, okay, once it is used, then uh, then then easily this can be uh, replaced. This is very important in cake baking, in which it is these air bubbles that expand during the baking, and the light airy structure can be formed. Someone has asked over this over through chat box that how we can reduce the fat content in the bakery products. So for that, uh, many researches are going on. Nowadays, you can also see the products like Neutralite in the market, Light in the market, LITE, which is having uh, up to somewhat 25 to 30% of the moisture. It is an emulsion based, I should say, margarine. It is a fat which is tendered, which is tempered, in which the emulsion is formed in such a way that it contains high moisture content, through which the fat can be replaced. The other thing is, if it is especially in case of cake, it is difficult to remove, or otherwise you have to give some other supplement of the fat. In case of other bakery products, it is possible using some stabilizers are available through which you can reduce the fat content. The problem with the fat content is not only that it is not healthy. The other problem is also, as the fat content increases, there are chances that it can have a shorter shelf life. If the excess fat is there, it can be oxidized also. Packing material भी उसके लिए you need a strong packing material of high thickness. Other than this, you have issues of staling because of the rancid flavor from the fat after a particular time. The free fatty acid content, many things are there. Layering. The other function of this, that particularly in the puff and the pastry industry, the fats which are soft over wide temperature range are used. These can be spread between the pastry layers and will separate them during the cooking, giving a layered pastry. So in case of pastry, also in case of particularly puff, when you layer it, when you need say 3 layers, 4 layers, 5 layers, that layers can be separated through this fat only. Usually the fats which are used should have a bland flavor to prevent them from changing the flavor of the finished product, but occasionally fats are chosen on the basis of their flavor, using butter for particularly baked goods and lard for the meat, pie, and pastry. In addition, the fat chosen needs to be able to form an emulsion with the other ingredients for its better synchronology in the batter or in the dough. The desirable qualities which one looks in the fat or in the shortening is that it is to be it should give the plasticity, which is readily mixed, which can be worked, which can be spread, is the thing. The waxiness is required, that it should be soft, it should be smooth. The pleasant odor is required, that no odor at all it will give, or if it is to provide, then a pleasant odor. The pleasant flavor, no unnecessary flavor from this is not required. The another very important ingredient from for this is sugar. Sometimes many of the startup used to ask me, sir, we are looking for the diabetic cookies, or we are looking for a biscuit kind of parleji kind of biscuit where we want to remove the sugar. I used to ask them that removing sugar is easy, no issues, but it is the one of the major ingredients. It is one of the major bulk. How can you remove this? By removing the sugar and adding some kind of saccharin or or non-nutritive sweetener in a small quantity, you have to identify a particularly ingredient which can replace the sugar for its bulk. So sugars are defined as the most commonly thought as a sweetener, but in the baked goods it is also involved in the several other processes. Sugar undergoes a series of complex browning reactions above 160 degree, and generally in case of bakery, um, the the goods are baked at 200 plus temperature, and the products of these form the brown crust of many baked goods. The reactions are known as Maillard reaction and caramelization. Uh, in which the sugar aldehyde and ketones are converted into unsaturated aldehyde and ketones. Uh, this both caramelization and Maillard reaction will give flavor and color to the bakery products. In addition, 0.5 to 0.75% of sugar increases the rate of the fermentation for the fermented goods, especially in case of bread, or because it acts like a food for the yeast. In non-fermented goods such as biscuits, large quantities of sugar can be added. This improves the keeping quality of the biscuit as well as sweetening them, so it will enhance the taste as well as it will increase the bulk, and it will also increase the keeping quality because it is a kind of preservative. The sugar usually used in the pure sucrose as castor sugar, which is superfine, 10x powdered sugar, which is called as icing sugar, and 1A sugar. These are the classification which is used in the market. So when you look for the icing sugar or the powdered sugar, you can see on the wrapper that they used to write 10x. So these are the grades, standard grades in the market available. Occasionally, impure forms such as golden syrup, honey, brown sugar are also used for the baking and particularly for the flavoring purpose. Kind of sugar which is available in the market is one kind is ultra fine. Sometimes this sugar is also called as baker's special sugar. It is fine in nature. Another is granulated sugar, where commonly found on the table and at the home. The crystal size is still less, but you can um, see that you can easily find the granules in it. Another is powdered sugar, is frequently called as the confectionary sugar because it is used for making the frostings and icing, and hence it is also called as the icing sugar. Another important sugar is molasses. It is the concentrated sugar cane syrup within the sugar. Brown sugar is also used simple white sugar with some of the molasses left is called as brown sugar. You can make it by mixing the molasses with the sugar, or combination, or many other methods are there through which you can make the brown sugar and molasses. And this is like not a science, it is more art कि आप कितना किस ratio में mix कर रहे हैं. Corn syrup is also used, a liquid sweetening containing the natural sugars called as fructose, which is available in the corn syrup. The corn syrup as such in the liquid form is available in the market. Honey, which is a natural sweetener containing fructose and glucose, is also a key ingredient for the bakery industry, because first of all it will be a kind of USP that you have added honey in this, right? The sweetening agent is honey, and honey is treated to be a healthy option, and hence nowadays startups are using this word, that sweetened with honey, goodness of honey, like this. Effect of sugar on particularly baking, that it tenderizes the gluten, uh, and hence it can hold uh, other bakery ingredients uh, in a better way. It makes browner, crisper crust. The color and the crispiness of especially the crust is because of sugar. It helps baked products to stay fresh longer because it retains the moisture, because it is hygroscopic, and it will retain the moisture and will make it a fresh, uh, appeal as a fresh one. Uh, Leaveners. In case of leaveners, there are many classes like chemical leavener, biological leavener, uh, mechanical leavening is also possible nowadays. High-speed mixers are there, beating devices are there through which you can achieve. The rise in any product, anything which can raise the volume is called as leavener, is a substance used in the baking to make product rise so it becomes a light a proportion of its size. So I want to improve the volume of a product with respect to its weight. The leavening agent produce a gas that expands when heated. Even though the bakery products are as per the directions written in the FSSAI food safety standards regulation, that bakery products are to be sold on the weight basis. Yeah, sure, sir. So the leavening agent produces gas that expands when heated. So in general, uh, the concept in the market is that the consumer used to see a product and used to connect with the product under the normally customary condition, um, in a form that yes, it is having a larger packing, it is having a larger volume, so the quantity will be more. With respect to the weight, maybe it is same. That's why earlier the bread were packed in the normal poly bags, but nowadays everyone provides a kind of twist and tie on the top, which is called as choti in particularly North India. So when you see the bread, you looks it to be of a greater and bigger volume, not because of the product, because of that packaging material. Air. Air works as a uh, leavener because it expands when heated. It can be incorporated into the product by, I can do the beating through which I can have it, by folding in the beaten egg whites, by sifting the flour, by creaming the shortening. The steam is also used as a leavening agent. It is considered to be the most powerful leavener when changes to steam when heated, causing the mixture to rise. Uh, this particularly concept is called as oven rise also, or oven spring also. So when the product is heated in the oven, the steam moves out, the water changes to steam and it moves out and will give a rise to the total volume. Chemical leavening agent. Certain chemical react to the moisture and heat to form the carbon dioxide, such as baking soda. It is produced from carbon dioxide when heated. The baking powder, most widely used as a leavening agent because of its result, because it contains the baking soda and the acid. In case of baking soda, when the acid is not present, generally it will give this uh, Na2CO3, which is a basic compound. So it will give a off taste into the product if it is used in the high quantity. So for that, baking powder is used where the acid will neutralize that particularly compound. This is the reaction of the NaHCO3, baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, where it will release the CO2 when it is heated. All of you are aware about this basic chemical reaction. Since the material is relatively cheap and stable to storage, it would seems to be an excellent agent for the production of the CO2. For the micro enterprises, generally used baking powder or Atmex baking soda. The above equation, however, also illustrates the disadvantages of the material because it is making Na2CO3. When when used on its own, only half of the available CO2 is released, and more seriously, the sodium carbonate produced is strongly alkaline, which gives baked products a bitter, soapy taste, and hence this acid is used to neutralize the same. Uh, Ammonium bicarbonate is another product which is used for the biscuit and crackers, as they have large surface and ammonia can escape easily when baked at a high temperature. So water is removed, the carbon dioxide is removed, the NH3 is removed, and hence this is the perfect solution. But it is used in the biscuit and crackers where the surface area is large, where where there is no mold kind of system, where it is like in case of bread and cake, the mold cover is there, the lid is there, which can cause a kind of uh, obstruction for removing of these gases. While in case of biscuit and crackers, it is baked on the band oven or it is in the open oven. Hence, these gases can be removed easily. Otherwise, they will give a very off smell. Another thing is baking powder is essentially a mixture of the sodium bicarbonate and a weak solid and a solid acid and acid salt. When the mixture dissolves in water, the temperature raised and the CO2 is released in presence of acid. The H plus ion will form the free sodium ion and water and the CO2. It is named after the acid component, tartrate powder, phosphate powder, and combination of both. Uh, Baking powder is also contains an inert filling diluent common cornstarch that works as a buffer between the soda and the acid and also prevent their ongoing action reaction. And accordingly, depending on the filler, these further are classified into slow acting and fast acting. The rate gas releases from the solution control the size of the bubble in the dough and consequently influences the grain texture and the volume of the finished product. The acetic acid from the vinegar or lactic acid from the sour milk usually act much too fast. So the amount of the soda is to be kept constant, but the acid varies to control the amount of the CO2 to be released. So accordingly, a baker has to decide its baking powder. As I told you earlier, that on this basis, it is classified as fast acting, slow acting, and double acting. The tartrates are fast acting, but releases all the gas at room temperature. Phosphates, mono calcium phosphate especially, are relatively slow but loses all the gas before baking. So for the slow acting, release very little gas at room temperature but releases at the time of the oven, so it will give a better I should say oven spring. uh, the best example for this is aluminum sulfate. The in case of double acting, it begins to react at a low temperature and gives some smoothness and viscosity to the batter, but action is completed only at a higher temperature, and hence these are called as double acting, both at the room temperature, even though low, but also at the high temperature. Another biological leavening agent which is very common, which is one of the key ingredient of the bread, is called as yeast. Yeast is made up of many tiny single-celled microorganisms which grows by budding, each bud breaking away from the parent cell and forming a new bud. If you see the structure of the yeast in particularly microscope after staining, you will find that it is like a distorted 8 shape. जैसे हम 8 लिखते हैं ना, उसका distorted shape है. So through this bud only it will move and will be formed from the parent cell. The condition required for the growth are warmth at 25 to 30 degrees temperature, moisture and presence of food. It will reproduce themselves and will also produce CO2. The refrigeration slows down the growth so that the yeast can be kept for a limited period of time. When the yeast is used, the condition and the utensil should be kept lukewarm to obtain the best results. And this is self-explanatory also. As soon as the yeast has been added to the dough or battered, the yeast begins to feed on the starch in the mixture, forming alcohol and carbon dioxide. The bubbles of the carbon dioxide cause the dough to expand, basically rise. The dough must be kneaded thoroughly to distribute the bubble evenly and then left to rise again, usually to about double of its original volume. If the mixture is left too long, acid produced by the oxidation of the alcohol causes the product of a taste which is sour. There are two type of commonly used yeast. The first is called as dry yeast, another is called as compressed yeast. This is the byproduct from a beer industry also. The compressed yeast, also called as the cake yeast, it can be stored for 4 to 5 weeks in a refrigerator condition. This is generally used by the bakery and especially by the micro enterprises, because the cost of this is almost one third of the dry yeast. The moisture content is quite high, about 70%. That's why it is called as compressed yeast. It is compressed only. It requires a temperature of somewhat 7 to 8 degrees to be kept. Uh, Another form of yeast is dry yeast, is a granular and darker in color than the compressed yeast or the cake yeast. It is purchased in a sealed pack envelope to ensure its freshness. Its moisture content, as the name suggests, it is dried and hence its moisture content is about 8% and even most of the time less than 8%. The other important ingredient which is part of this is called as liquid, where I can say water is there, uh, milk is there. So liquids are essential in the baking process because gluten cannot develop without the presence of some liquid. Some liquid is essentially required. It gives different texture to the baked item, especially breads and rolls. The texture of the baked product is coarse and chewy if water is used instead of milk. It will add texture, flavor, nutrition value, and color to the baked products. Whole milk and cream containing the fat, which must be accounted as part of the shortening in the baking formula, can be used. The powdered dry milk is oftenly used because of its low cost and convenience, and because it is safe also. Generally, the liquid milk, handling the liquid milk is difficult. Apart from this, handling the cream is also difficult. So the industry prefer to put dry milk, which is shelf stable. There is no issues with respect to the food safety. Uh, so the powdered dry milk, the whole milk powder or the skimmed milk powder, is used as a preferred bakery industry ingredient. Another important ingredient is egg. Uh, for this egg, uh, this egg is a mixture which is usually has many functions. Uh, it can be added as a beaten egg white. It can be uh, like a baking powder to give the dough the light airy texture. So because of the emulsifying property which is in the egg, the air and trapping activity, it is one of the ingredient which is key with respect to that it will increase the total volume. Uh, this is this is achieved because the egg white or the albumin contains the lecithin, a powder which lines the outside of the air bubble created when the egg was beaten and so prevent them from collapsing during the baking process. In the unbeaten whole egg, the lecithin act as a binder holding the cake together. In addition, egg can be used as emulsifier, which moistens, which nutritionally as a source of the fat and as an essential amino acid also. Egg is also used as a source of the protein for the Maillard reaction. Uh, Egg also add moisture, flavor, nutrition especially, and color to the baked good. Uh, Nowadays, the replacement of the egg is milk proteins. Sweetened condensed milk is used as a replacer to the egg. Uh, Condensed milk is a replacer of the egg. Egg performs important function in the cake that other ingredients cannot do. Egg are the essential part. They maintain tender the structure of the cake baked products, and egg also holds together the other ingredients during the mixing and the baking. Flavoring and spices. Salt is one of the important ingredient. Without salt, if you make the bread, you can see that in the oven it has not raised up to the volume. Apart from this, the surface is also white. So the salt actually strengthens the gluten and makes it more stretchable in bread dough. With salt present, gluten holds more water and carbon dioxide, allowing the dough to expand without tearing. The salt helps control yeast growth in the dough because it acts against the yeast, and hence salt enhances the flavor of most foods. In case of even for our home usage, uh, in our day-to-day making of say roti or chapati in the home, we also used to add a uh, pinch of salt in it, pinch of salt in it. So this is a practice. So this is a practice to be followed. Apart from this, if if we have salt concentration, it will also not only like in case of bread, it is controlling the yeast growth. In general, also, if we have the presence of salt, it will in our home usage also it will extend the shelf life of the dough. Chocolate and cocoa are the highly prized for their aroma and flavor and brown color. If you have to lure the kids, you have to give it a brown color, a kind of flavor which is like cocoa, the aroma, uh, the thing which that's why most of the bakery goods, either it is I should say, ITC's biscuits, Dark Fantasy, or Parley's this tasty, or Good Days, Good Day cookies, chocolate cookies. So everyone is adding cocoa or chocolate as one of the key ingredient to lure the kids. There is a separate market for this chocolate biscuit or cocoa biscuit. The other important ingredient is the fruit flavor and the spices. These are extracted from the base of the fruit. They add pleasant odor to baked products. Spices add flavor and interest to the baked goods. The most commonly used are the cinnamon, mace, nutmeg, clove, and ginger. Most spices are made from the bark, nut, seeds, roots of tropical plant. Ascorbic acid, which is also called as vitamin C, is an important ingredient. It has been observed that many experiments that the addition of the small amount up to somewhat 100 ppm of the vitamin C also shortens the time needed for the dough to mature. This is because of the ascorbic acid catalyzes the gluten cross-linking reaction to form an extensible elastic network. Slides are not moving. Now, sir, it is moving.
Sir, slide is black. Now, yes, sir. Now visible, sir.
Okay. Okay. Vitamin C is also one of the important ingredients, which is also called as ascorbic acid. It is in general, it is recommended that you can use it 200 ppm. Because it is not that I am putting nutrition in the baked goods. ये तो denature होगा ही at a very high temperature. But during the dough formation, because during the gluten formation, gluten cross-linking, it will help and make it more extensible, elastic, and will give a strong network because it is a good oxidizing agent. It is a good antioxidant, I should say.
Sir, slide is only air is going on.
अच्छा एयर ही चल रहा है अभी.
हाँ.
चलिए मैं वापस से एक बार इसको.
Sir, slides are moving. They are quite perfect. Probably the others, they are having problem with network.
Sir, moving
Their
faster.
own network.
ओके डू वन थिंग, मैं एक बार स्टॉप करके आई विल शेयर इट अगेन.
Right, sir.
मेरे
Right,
एंड पे भी मूवमेंट में प्रॉब्लम कर रहा है.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Is it fine, sir? Now you can
Sir,
see the.
slides is visible, sir.
अच्छा फ्रूट फ्लेवर एंड स्पाइसेस की बात कर रहे हैं
Right, sir.
राइट.
Right, sir.
एंड नाउ आई एम मूविंग टू द चॉकलेट एंड कोकोआ. ये भी दिखाई दिया आपको, मतलब मूव हो रही है. Chocolate
Sir,
and
not moving, sir. Not moving. Sir, now
Yes, sir.
chocolate and coca, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir, it's moving, sir. Now it's solved, sir. The slides are moving perfectly, sir.
probably the network at your end is something which is creating this delay. Okay, so we were at vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid, is an potent antioxidant, and it will help in making the cross linking of the gluten and will form elastic and a strong network. Uh, Many extracts and emulsion is also used. The extracts are the oil which are dissolved in the alcohol. The vanilla extract is a common example for making cake, especially the vanilla cake is very famous, in which you have to put extract of this vanilla. Vanilla beans are processed to extract the oil from them and is dissolved in the alcohol. True vanilla extract and the vanilla beans are quite expensive, partly because of the current popularity and the novelty of this flavor in the soft drink and the vanilla scented cosmetic and soaps. For the emulsion and oils mixed with water, lemon and orange emulsion are the most common. Lemon or orange oil is extracted from the skin where most of the flavor is and is mixed with the water. You can grate it or you can just it lemon or orange skin yourself also. Uh, this is the standard requirement of the bread and biscuit industry, where as per the PFA, it was mentioned that the flour should have maximum 13% moisture. Now it is increased to 14% moisture in FSSAI. The protein is classified, the gluten is classified, the total ash, acid insoluble ash, alcoholic acidity, etc., etc., accordingly. So yeah, now we have ended with the presentation. So now we can take the question one by one. I just also want to see that mm, many questions are there in the chat box. Yeah, please sir. हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
थैंक यू सो मच सर इस इंटरेक्टिव सेशन के लिए। मैं सभी प्रतिभागियों से निवेदन करूंगा कि उनके कोई भी सवाल हो तो डॉक्टर अंकुर ओझा सर हमारे साथ बने हुए हैं, आप अपना हैंड रेज अपने सवाल पूछ सकते हैं।
If we want to replace gluten, if we want to replace all-purpose flour for bread making, so we have seen that we cannot go about 15%, maximum 15%. So what can be done if we want to replace it to 25 or 30%, and we have that we can make the volume and the oven spring also, the quality of the bread remains almost same.
No, pardon once again. You want to replace what?
So if we want to replace all-purpose flour in bread making, so we have seen that going above 50,
or all-purpose flour with what? With millet flour,
like
with
any other flour, whether it be millet, any other flour. So we have seen that we cannot go above 15%. 15% is also not much like acceptable also. So what can be done if that so that we can replace it more and the quality of the bread remains near to the bread that is made from maida.
Okay, in that case, ma'am, in our institution also, we did some hit and trials during the International Millet Year. Uh, so 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 basically, we have increased the gluten content. We have added the dry gluten in it, and through which we achieved that particular volume.
So adding the dry gluten will it not affect the cost of the product?
Agree, ma'am. But it is basically when you are putting your product under the health and wellness, you will get the premium. When you are providing goodness of, especially of the millets, then you have to replace it accordingly.
So is there not any other alternative?
Other alternative in the sense, then you make a bread of low volume. In that case, आप ऐसा एक्सपेक्ट मत करिए कि you will have the large volume like the popular
Yes,
bread
sir.
which
I
is
have
available in the
myself tried that we cannot get good loaf volume in when we go above 10% also. Loaf volume gets reduced to a great extent and the crumb and crust quality also decreases.
आप you are associated with this scheme PMFME कब
Yes,
से
sir.
ठीक कब से
Sir,
आप हैं
2021 से sir.
21 से राइट
Sir,
राइट
मैं SLTI उत्तराखंड SLTI के अंडर ट्रेनिंग कोऑर्डिनेटर भी थी.
very good Preeti. I just wanted to inform you one thing. There is another scheme which is product linked incentive scheme, right? PLSI,
Okay, sir.
under which there is a provision that if you are replacing maida or any other cereal with the millet up to 15%, then you will get a kind of subsidy by the Ministry of Food Processing, which is the 10% of your total invoice cost. तो सोचिए आप उसको प्रमोट करने के लिए they have also chosen 15%, क्योंकि ये
Okay,
मतलब
sir.
रिकमेंडेशन थी कि at max for especially for the bakery items one can replace up to 15%.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
सर, वर्षा रानी जी का एक सवाल है, विच फैट इज गुड फॉर द परफेक्ट टेक्सचर ऑफ बेकरी प्रोडक्ट?
मैं तो देख नहीं पा रहा हूँ.
सर, चैट बॉक्स में है.
अच्छा.
कैन आई रिपीट द क्वेश्चन सर?
लेट मी चेक. वर्षा रानी जी बताया ना आपने?
जी सर, लास्ट वन.
अच्छा, which fat is good for the perfect texture of the bakery product? Okay. Okay, particularly ma'am for this in general when nowadays the companies like ITC like Britannia is saying that they have zero trans fat और उसको वो promote कर रहे हैं as a USP on their label. So they use palm oil and palmolive oil in their products. Especially in case particularly in case of palm oil and palmolive oil, it is unsaturated also. इनकी कुछ unpleasant flavor नहीं है, odorless है ये, and simple to use है, cost effective है. ये सब की वजह से these are now in fashion. हाँ बिल्कुल, अभिजीत ने अभी पूछा है कि whether wafery will get the considered as the bakery product under PLSI scheme. So I just wanted to confirm, Abhijit, that the ITC has applied for the wafery only. Abhijit, am I audible to you?
डॉक्टर अभिजीत.
Okay, नहीं उसने लिख दिया. Thank you. Yeah.
सर, एक सवाल है डॉक्टर यूडी चौहान साहब का, विच केमिकल यूज फॉर स्टोरेज ऑफ व्हीट फ्लोर?
Which chemical is used for storage of wheat flour?
जी सर.
हाँ जी, वाहिद जी बताइए, आप कुछ पूछ रहे थे वाजिद साहब. हाँ जी वाजिद साहब बताइए. Dr. Neha has asked that in industries how much percentage of honey can be used as a replacement of the sugar. So it depends on product to product, especially in case of हाँ Neha ji, in case
So
of
especially
breakfast.
when we go for cookies and all,
Mm-hmm.
so how much honey can be used as a replacer
Okay,
in
नहीं
percent?
but the idea is you want to replace as much as possible. मतलब आप
As how much we can go up to, max up to how much we can go, max to max.
ओके. देखिए हमने जो ट्रायल लिए हैं इसके कुछ ऐसे स्टैंडर्ड्स नहीं है इन द FSSAI. हमने जो ट्रायल्स लिए हैं वो हमने कुछ 6 to 8% पे ले रखे हैं ट्रायल. Why it is so? It is a costly ingredient. जहां तक कि अपना फ्लेवर दे दे अच्छा पोस्ट बेकिंग, उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए we have kept.
एक्चुअली मैंने खुद इसमें काम किया था. सो मोर देन 15% अगर लेते हैं तो जो बेसिक क्वालिटी टेक्सचर
नहीं
डिजायरेबिलिटी है कुकीज का,
बट जो
सो
है
उसमें ग्रेनिंग नहीं आती है.
ऐसी मतलब ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी जो हम इतनी कॉस्टली करते हैं, फिर तो हम यही
Exactly.
मतलब फिर तो मैं क्या कहूंगा कि वन कैन यूज ओनली देसी घी फॉर मेकिंग एनी
So, like, what my point is, if they say like touched with honey, so I just need to know how much do they use in industries. I mean, if you have any knowledge, I
नहीं
mean,
नहीं
they
नहीं नहीं इसके
whatever.
कोई नहीं स्टैंडर्ड्स नहीं है कि दैट यू हैव टू पुट दिस मच हनी.
Okay, and sir, one more thing, like we are using honey for such a high temperature, like this is the case with honey, like there will be a production of HMFs, hydroxymethyl furfuryls will be formed.
True,
So,
true.
do they have any limits or something like to check it
देखिए
or what?
as such for the honey it is. As such for the honey it is because it is a case where adulterated honey or the mixed honey is also formed where HMF is produced. ठीक है,
Yes, sir.
वो standards exactly कितने हैं I'll share with you post this session.
Definitely, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sir, can I ask one question, sir?
हाँ, please, my pleasure.
Sir, those are preparing maida of different grade, that is fine, super fine maida. They are storing for longer period. For the storing the good quality of maida, is there any chemicals they are using for preservation?
देखिए अच्छी प्रैक्टिसेस तो नहीं है पर्टिकुलरली, बट लोग जो है मेलाथियान और बीएचसी के स्प्रेज, डीटीटी के स्प्रेज करते हैं वहां जहाँ मैदा स्टोर करते हैं. तो ये मतलब इट इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ द गुड प्रैक्टिस, पर ऐसा करते हैं लोग. वो क्या है कि जैसे हम लोग
because
भी
I
कभी पेस्ट कंट्रोल कर लेते हैं ना घर पे भी,
हाँ
हमारे वीट को सेव करने के लिए भी मेलाथियान यूज कर लेते हैं. बट it is sprayed not directly on the crop, मतलब not on the wheat, but ऐसे स्प्रे उस एरिया में कर लेते हैं और गनी बैग्स पे कर देते हैं like this.
some people they are using propionic acid. Propionic acid.
हाँ, प्रोपियोनिक एसिड जनरली वो अवेलेबल होता है प्रोपियोनिक एसिड बेकरी इंडस्ट्री में इजीली, तो उसका स्प्रे एज अ गुड प्रैक्टिस कर देते हैं. यू कैन इवन यूज एसिटिक एसिड आल्सो.
Yeah, that I heard that propionic acid, citric acid, ascorbic acid, they are using sometimes in bakery flour for increasing the shelf life.
जी जी जी. ये जो है इन जनरल आल्सो फॉर particularly in the rainy season, acetic acid is used as a mold inhibitor. तो जहां जहां लगता है ना आपको कि कुछ फंगस आ सकती है, मोल्ड आ सकती है, वहां पे स्प्रे कर देते हैं वॉल्स पे, नीचे साइड पे, स्लाइसर के आसपास, बेकरी स्लाइसर के आसपास. जी.
क्योंकि generally now the maida is coming packed back from different state. For example, Gujarat, Rajasthan, even Punjab, Haryana to here, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka. It takes more time. That is more than 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
So storage stability should be increased. That's why these ingredient generally people use. That I heard. That I want to just confirm that it is they are really using or not.
It is used.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
जी 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 जी. वाजिद अली जी, you were about to ask something. Yeah, Pramod, please.
The storage of flour or maida, any standard chemical or any standard guideline is not given by the FSSAI.
वो मेरा फ्रेंड है ना
नहीं guidelines are there. Guidelines are for the good manufacturing practices where you have
for
to
the storage
keep
of maida, sir.
for the storage of maida, for the
सवाल देखिए पूरा दो नॉलेज कि उसका पहले गुजर गया अच्छा अच्छा यहाँ आया 11:15 बजे उनका मैसेज आया कि मैं 9 बजे सुबह उनका प्रोग्राम करने वाले 12:30 1 बजे तो गया 4 बजे उठ के 4:30 बजे फ्रेश होके लोनावला गए दोनों दोनों 9:30 बजे तक वहां पहुंचा वहां का 3 बजे प्रोग्राम हुआ पुनः आया
Dr. Vajit sir, I
Yeah,
think
please.
your background voice is coming here, so we can interact with the our speaker.
मीटिंग मीटिंग के लिए सुबह गया
वाजिद जी, डॉक्टर वाजिद,
तो इतना ऐसा
डॉक्टर वाजिद,
am I audible?
Yes, sir. Now you are audible. Actually, I want to know if we can use whole wheat flour and we can reduce the particle size of that wheat flour. Then we can prepare a product like bread or biscuit. It goes better option than the maida
Yes,
or
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Exactly, ma'am. When the Maggi started their atta noodles after following Patanjali, they use this. They use the same case where they have reduced the particle size to this extent, and sometimes they make the flour composite also. They reconstitute the flour where they put maida and then added fine powder of bran in it, a germ part, and then they mix it. Then they say that this is the formula of this has achieved standards of uh, wheat flour, and then they make it. So this is possible. This is a good approach also,
actually it's a
reducing the
healthy.
particle size.
Okay.
Can I add, sir, Oza sir,
Yeah.
in this
Yes.
case?
Yes,
These
please.
noodles, we have able to prepare good quality noodles from sorghum flour also. Because we have to change the processing condition. If you gelatinize the starch, and then you can prepare the noodles. It's very good quality without any adding wheat flour or maida.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल एग्री इनफैक्ट हमने जब मिलेट बेस्ड ब्रेकफास्ट सीरियल्स डेवलप किए थे यूजिंग एक्सट्रूजन इन दैट केस आल्सो वी हैव यूज्ड सोरगम उसके बहुत ही अच्छे रिजल्ट्स आए थे क्रंची आल्सो
Yeah, we have prepared more than 150 products from sorghum.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Now my question is there, sir.
Yes,
Bakery
please.
products. Now people are asking gluten-free products and hesitating to buy the bakery products which have high gluten. How we can overcome this problem? Otherwise, bakery products industry.
Except bread you can make. Because in case of bread you require low volume also. In case of bread it is a high moisture content product. In case of bread it should not be of the high cost. तो इन सब को ध्यान में जो है रखते हुए आप लोग ब्रेड पे ना फोकस करें. Rest of the product, cake you can skip the wheat flour. Even rice cake आता ही है ना कब से, मतलब it is not famous in India, but especially in China and Japan, rice cake is available. Then other मतलब बहुत सारे millet based biscuits बने, it is 100% maida. Or if I want to make it gluten free, then I can add rice in it, add corn flour in it. So bread को छोड़ के बाकी सब कुछ everything you can make using this.
Yes, sir.
Right, bread and bread like thing. जैसे कि ये property आपको वहाँ भी नहीं मिलेगी if you want to go for patties making. Patties में भी you require maida. Yeah, the next question is what are the examples of fully hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated fat in the market? Ma'am, earlier it was full hydrogenation only. Like you have heard of the example dalda. Especially in 1980s and 1990s, this was a very reputed brand. So उनका process यही था for making dalda. They have silo where they used to put the oil, उसको 300 degrees तक hot करते थे at a very high temperature in presence of nickel rods. वो hydrogen pass करते थे and and in 3 hours the entire silo of uh, somewhat of 2 lakh liters वो पूरा के पूरा हाइड्रोजनेट हो जाता था. But nowadays partially hydrogenated fat is in fashion. Neutralite is also partially hydrogenated. Margarines are partially hydrogenated. And सब लोग आजकल एक ट्रेंड है कि they need that the